use this one.
You can use that. Yes.
I can use this one.
Yes. Yes.
How to use this one?
Actually, I don't know. It's like switch on. Yes, it's on.
Okay. Then actually put this somewhere.
This is mine.
Let's see. Okay. Does it work?
Yeah.
Okay, nice.
Okay. Okay, so our next speaker is Linmin Zhang, and the title of her talk is Inquisitive-Semantics Perspective on MPI License, the cases of only and MPI. Okay, please.
You can hear me, right? Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. So today I'm going to talk about MPI licensing.
It works now.
Oh, okay.
I don't know why, but
okay, it works now. Okay, so actually, so the data will just be about a small subset of all kinds of MPI licensing environments that we know about, MPI licensing phenomena that we know about. So traditionally, people consider that words like any, they are MPI items because they only appear in a special environment. So in downward entailing environment. So we are already familiar with this. So Mary run does not entail Mary run fast. So this is not a downward entailing environment. Therefore, any cannot be used in this kind of sentence. So 1B is ungrammatical. Mary did see any sloth in the park. It's ungrammatical. But then we know that negation provides a downward entailing environment. Mary did not run entails Mary did not run fast. So 2B is good. Mary did not see any sloth in the park. And also the restricted part of a universal quantifier, it's also a downward entailing environment. So we can say things like everyone who saw any sloth in the park felt happy. But then this very nice theory about any is licensed in a downward entailing environment encounters some problems when we consider item like only. So only Mary ate vegetable does not entail only Mary ate kale. But still we can use any in this case. Only Mary ate any vegetable. So in the literature, there are different theories dealing with the case of only. So in the original work by Ladisson, who proposed the downward entailing theory about MPI licensing. So Ladisson mentions that only includes a positive and a negative component. So only Mary ate any vegetable. The positive part of this sentence means that Mary ate some vegetable, and the negative part of this sentence means that no one who is not Mary ate any vegetable. But then von Winkel questioned about this approach, and in particular, he mentioned that it's unclear what the status of these positive and negative parts of the meanings are. Von Winkel instead proposed a theory about Strawson downward entailing environment. So basically, we check the entailment relation between only Mary ate vegetable and only Mary ate kale with the additional assumptions that they are both true. But also, lots of people claim that our intuitive acceptance for sentence like only Mary ate any vegetable does not really require us to accept the assumptions that only Mary ate a vegetable and only Mary ate a specific kind of vegetable. We do not necessarily accept them to be true, but still we accept the only sentence with any. So today, basically, I propose a decompositional way to look at the meaning of only, and on the other hand, I also try to develop inquisitive semantics perspective and to account for MPI licensing, including how only license MPI. So you can see that the take-home method is actually include these two distinct parts, and I will discuss each of them. So basically, only will be considered, not anymore. And along the way, I will also connect the MPI licensing of only with another groups of MPIs in cross-linguistic data. So first, let's look at the meaning of only and how the meaning of only is expressed in cross-linguistic data. So cross-linguistically, in many languages, to convey the same idea as English only, people would already use an item that means negation. So for example, in the Korean data, 30분 밖에 안 자다, it means that I only slept for 30 minutes. But if we look at the word-by-word literal translation of the sentence, it means that 30 minutes outside of 30 minutes, I did not sleep. And the sentence actually means I only slept for 30 minutes. But in fact, the literal meaning doesn't include like whether I slept or not within the 30 minutes. It only mentions that beyond the 30 minutes, I didn't sleep. And the French data is a bit similar. So in French, people can say Zhang n'aime personne que Marie. So ne means ne is a negation word, and personne means nobody. So French is a language with negative concord. So ne personne means Zhang loves nobody, and Zhang loves nobody other than Mary. So this kind of meaning. So you can see that both French and Korean data suggest that they only talk about the negative part of only, but not the positive part of only. And then if we look at the English only sentence, it also looks like the entailment for the positive sentence with only and the negative sentence with only looks like their entailment relation with the positive meaning is not so clear. So in English, for the positive sentence, only Mary ate any vegetable, it's not good to continue this sentence by saying that actually, just like other people, Mary also didn't eat any vegetables. So this is not good. And also we cannot continue the sentence and say only Mary ate any vegetable, or actually I don't even know whether Mary ate any vegetable. So these sentences are not good. So this suggests that Mary ate vegetable is not really cancelable. It's not really a cancelable meaning for 9, but for the negative version, it's not the case that only Mary ate any vegetable. It looks like the part Mary ate some vegetable is not so strongly entailed. It's fine to continue this sentence and say, actually, many other people ate vegetable, but Mary didn't. Or it's not the case that only Mary ate any vegetable. Actually, even Mary didn't eat any vegetable. Or we can also say, actually, other people did eat vegetable, but I don't know whether Mary ate any vegetable or not. So you can see that the entailment relation is not so clear here. So you can see that for 9, it entails Mary ate vegetable, but for 10, it's much less weak. So actually, this kind of phenomena is a bit similar to the plurality entailment for sentences like 11 and 12. So kids flew kites in the park. So for this positive sentence, so we feel that the plurality entailment is really strong. So kites should be able to be compatible with the interpretation that it's at least a 1. But for sentence 11, it's preferable to interpret this with the meaning that at least a 2. So there is this plurality inference. But on the other hand, once we negate a sentence, the plurality inference is not so strong. The kids didn't fly kites in the park. So it means that the kids didn't fly at least 1 kite in the park. So you can see that this kind of asymmetry between the inference pattern for plurality inference is actually very similar to this case. So I think that it's reasonable to follow the literature on plurality inference and analyze the entailment that Mary ate a vegetable for 9 as a kind of obligatory implicature. So if we consider this an obligatory implicature, then basically you can see that an only sentence in English actually would, just like in other languages, that contains a hidden negation, and it's essentially a negative sentence. And the positive meaning is an implicature. Okay. So by understanding only Mary ate any vegetable as essentially a negative sentence, So basically we can see that only Mary ate and vegetable can be interpreted as like no one other than Mary ate any vegetable, or like not anyone other than Mary ate any vegetable. So compared with the initial proposal by Ladisson, so you can see that the positive component is no longer here. And in addition, by analyzing only as not anymore, so actually I proposed the idea that there is an ordering between the Mary part and other people. So it's just like in the Korean data, there's an ordering between like within the 30 minutes versus like the additional part, the part that is above 30 minutes. So this analysis would have two favorable consequences. So one favorable consequence is that we can connect the use of only in the domain of entities with the use of only in the domain of scalar values. So in languages, we also can say things like she's only 5 feet tall, so meaning that she's not any taller than 5 feet. So you can see that along the scale, it's favorable to consider that there is an ordering between like within 5 feet versus beyond 5 feet. And now by analyzing only Mary as not anyone other than Mary, we also decompose the part into like the basic part Mary and those that are other than Mary, the additive part. And now we can see that this can be naturally connected with another group of MPI in cross-linguistic data. So for example, English anymore, so it contains already an any, so anymore is an MPI, but in lots of other languages, they only explicitly say this additive part without explicitly saying the any part. So for example, in Korean, so there is sentence, so there's an expression like 더 이상. So 더 means more, 이상 means above. So literal translation is more above, and this is an MPI in Korean. And also in the Chinese data, like 在, so 在 means again. So here we also just see the additive part, but not an explicit like MPI part. So in English, anymore is MPI. We say she is not any taller than 5 feet. She has not any more interest in housework. So that's consistent with our understanding for any. But you can see that in 더 이상, in the Korean data, so this has also needs to be used in an inactive environment. So 16A is not good. 16B is good. So the 16B is not good. 16A is good. So compared with 16B, so this part is the negative part. So Zhang, the topic Zhang, 더 이상 no longer any longer. Zhang any longer book read not. So Zhang은 더 이상 책을 읽지 않았다. So this sentence is good. Although for the case of 더 이상 compared with the English data, we don't explicitly see any. And similarly for Chinese, like again, we also don't explicitly say any, but it needs to be used along with negation. So Mary 不再给 Bill 打电话. Mary not again towards Bill make a phone call. So 在 is also an MPI. And actually, so you can see that these data are exactly the same as the Korean expression for only. So in Korean, 30분 밖에 안 자다. So 밖에 outside, we also don't just see the additive part and don't see the any part. And actually, this 밖에 needs to be used along with the negation. So this is still an MPI. And I think that I heard that for some native speakers of English, they have this kind of use for many. So 18A is not so good for some English native speakers. I have many books, but 18B is much better. I don't have many books. So it looks like for these people, in the words like many, so we can interpret this as like any more than a contextual threshold. So again, for these native speakers, it looks like there is a hidden any in many, so that overall, many would be used more like an MPI item. So we can see that it's favorable to consider that only can be decomposed into negation, plus, and additive part. So only can be analyzed as not anymore. So that there's a connection between only and the other MPI phenomena involving an additive part. So cross-linguistically, we can see that for English only, the negation part is hidden, but then for lots of other MPI phenomena, the any part is hidden, and we just overtly see the negation part and the additive part. Okay, so with this understanding about only, so only is analyzed as not anymore. So we can just consider the MPI licensing for only the same way as we consider MPI licensing phenomena for any. And here I propose to use the Inquisitive-Semantics perspective to consider how any would require a negative licensing environment. So basically we can see that in Inquisitive-Semantics, so we lift the type of sentences as like a set of possible words to a set of possible words. So I will just use these illustrations to explain the idea behind this. So you can see that here, these are 4 possible words, and for a sentence like Mary came. So if Mary came is true in word 3 and word 4. So you can see that overall, we consider that Mary came can be represented in this way. And you can see that here, for a sentence like Mary came, it has only like one. So this issue includes only like one alternative here. So the only alternative here is Mary came. And similarly, Bill came will be represented like this. But then it's interesting to see that for the case like Mary or Bill came, then in that case, with the use of or, we consider that there are 2 alternatives. And with 2 alternatives, the whole sentence will look like this. So you can see that in this case, Mary or Bill came. So with 2 alternatives, if we look at the picture and this representation, so you can see that this is not different from these 2 cases. So here there's just one alternative, so that these sets, they are singleton sets. But here, this one, it's not a singleton set. So the idea is that in inquisitive semantics, if overall it's a singleton set for sets of possible words, then the whole sentence is not inquisitive. So Mary came, Bill came, these sentences are not inquisitive. But then Mary or Bill came, this sentence is inquisitive because there are more than one alternatives. So this set, it's not a singleton set. But there you can see that it's not a case that Mary or Bill came. So we would just get this word by taking out all these words. So it's not a case that Mary or Bill came. Mary or Bill came. Again, although the sentence, the local part contains an or, but with the use of not, actually the whole sentence, it's not a case that Mary or Bill will come. Overall, it's a non-inquisitive sentence. Okay, so the idea is that there are a few items in natural language that would introduce inquisitiveness. So or is a case like that. And also you can see that like indefinites. So some people came. So that's also a way to introduce inquisitiveness. And MPIs are considered similar to indefinites. So I propose that MPIs like any, so because they are indefinites, therefore they should also invoke alternatives or inquisitiveness. But then, as Janakidu points out, MPIs are referentially too vague to maintain specific reference and project inquisitive alternatives to a higher sentential level. So basically, MPIs cannot be used to maintain several possibilities alternatives. Therefore, their inquisitiveness needs to be cancelled. So you can see that from this, so negation is a very natural way to cancel the inquisitiveness introduced by all or like any. Okay, so the idea is like this. For a sentence like only Mary ate vegetable. So basically, only is analyzed as not any other people. And then in this sentence, there's another any, only Mary ate any vegetable. So there are two any. So I assume that each of these any, they would introduce alternatives. So anyone other than Mary ate any vegetable would be like this. Bill ate carrots in some words. Sue ate cabbage in some words, and etc. And then with one instance of negation, we can just cancel the inquisitiveness introduced by each instance of any here. So overall, you can see that all these possibilities would all be ruled out. So eventually, the sentence will mean that not any other people ate any vegetable. So so compared with the existing understanding about OLI and MPR licensing, I think the current approach is worth consideration for many reasons. So first, you can see that I will finish within 1 minute. So first, you can see that with this new analysis for OLI, so basically, so with this new analysis for OLI, so we do not need any additional assumption to like source and downward entailment to consider the case of OLI. And also, I think the current analysis not just to show that what kind of environment can license MPI. So I think that in terms of like the downward entailingness, the current theory is not inconsistent with the classical theory. But I think the benefit for the current theory is that it also explains why items like any would require licensing. And also, in other works, I will show that the current work can also naturally explain why any is often used as a free choice item as well. So basically, in that case, it's similar to the case that any can be licensed in the restricted part of universal quantifier. So for that part, basically, I follow the idea of Kyle Rawlings and consider that the free choice item use of any is similar to the case of WH unconditional. But due to time limits, I will just stop here. And thank you, everyone.
So we have 8 minutes for discussion.
Thank you. Can we go to slide 7?
Yes.
So I think this claim that the positive, what's taken by Legislaw to be a presupposition
Yes.
component of the meaning can be negated without any problem here. That's the idea, right? That you use it's not the case that only Mary ate any vegetable, and amongst the interpretations are one where you're negating the positive component.
Yeah.
And from this, you conclude that it's not a presupposition. Okay. The issue is that I suspect this might be, in that interpretation, might be a kind of meta-linguistic negation. And that it's facilitated by the it's not the case that construction. And the reason I think here you're using it's not the case that is because you have only up in front of the subject. And so that's the only way to negate the sentence and have it, the negation spoke over only.
Right.
So if you put only in the VP, and you say Mary only ate vegetables or something like this. We're just talking about the only, put aside the any for a second. Is it true that you can like negate an only sentence and kind of and so my hunch is that if you say Mary only ate vegetables and you negate it with it's not the case that Mary only ate vegetables, she doesn't eat vegetables at all, that's fine, it's meta-linguistic negation, it tracks this. But if you say Mary didn't only eat vegetables, she didn't eat vegetables at all, I find this much harder to do. And so my hunch is that that claim that negation can target a positive sentence might really be relying on a kind of meta-linguistic negation. And you can see that better. Like maybe we should be looking at sentences where only is down lower, so that we can use normal negation.
I see.
Yeah, and see how it behaves. So that, sorry, it's not as much of a question as a comment maybe, but you know, I'd be
Yes.
curious to hear what you think.
Yeah, yeah, I need to think about this.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, really.
Questions following, comments following those of Chris. I think that I agree with you in some sense that the positive component not only in a special status, but and that in some cases indeed it seems to disappear. So instead of using negation, which is that move is only so those nasty interactions. If you use a model like maybe only marry any vegetable, sounds to me compatible with a situation in which there's no projection, meaning that it's compatible with a situation in which Mary ate nothing, nobody ate the vegetable. I don't know if the native speakers agree.
I can't trust this, it's so bad.
Yeah. Maybe only Mary tastes.
Yeah.
Maybe nobody did.
So actually, another
Doesn't
thing
sound
that,
contradictory.
Yeah.
But it seems that in other environments, the inference is, for example, stronger than the plurality inferences that you mentioned. So in questions, if you ask, did only Mary eat vegetables? To me, it sounds like it conveys that Mary did, and the question is, did anybody else eat the vegetable? So we would project in that context. Whereas plurality inferences typically do not. So if you ask, did you invite colleagues? And you invited one, you would answer yes.
yeah, so actually something that I didn't include here and I'm still thinking about is that, so words like only and also, it looks like they have very asymmetry entailment for positive and negative sentences, and also like in questions. So usually we consider that also means other people also did this thing. Mary also came. Did Mary also come, or like it's not a case that Mary also came? So it looks like there are also some kind of asymmetry for the entailments in the case of also, and I suspect that it's because only Mary these words, they somehow contain the additive meaning, and by considering what the basic item does and what the additive part does, there will be some kind of interesting effects for their use. So I need to take those things into consideration later.
Thank you, Pedro. I was thinking about why only is not downward entailing, because actually it always seems to me as a universal quantifier, right? And even universal quantifier is downward entailing, right?
What?
I mean, only is like a reversed universal quantifier. Only Mary ate any vegetables means that everybody who ate any vegetable is Mary, something like that.
Oh, I see. So,
And it looks to me probably that it has something to do with the singular form of Mary. So if we say something like only women ate any vegetable, then it seems to probably entail that only women ate any carrots. So this here downward entailing preserve. Probably, I don't know. On the other hand, if we reverse it with singular forms, then it again seems to me that we lose this downward entailing even with universal quantifier. So I don't know, just observation.
okay, so you mean that the use of only has a connection with universal quantifier? Okay. I will think about this. Okay.
Any other questions? We have 1 minute.
If you have any thought about, NPIs in question,
There's like questions that you can start my definition.
Yeah.
And you know, it's not like so much closed, right? I mean, it's not that much. It's probably everyone, and I don't know if any guys in question. You have any guys.
Okay, so.
I was just wondering.
Yeah, thank you for this issue. So the use of MPI in questions is more complicated than I can deal with at this moment. I think there's some literature from Matsumoto about this and showing that cross-linguistically, in some languages, MPI can be used in questions, but others not. And also, I read about the work by the colleague of Ivano Ciarelli, Flores Rolfson, and a Korean colleague. They also mentioned that in questions, the use of the stressed any and the non-stressed any also show different patterns. So these are the phenomena that I haven't worked on. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so we need to stop here. Okay, thank you very much.